Russia launched one of its biggest waves of airstrikes on Ukraine in weeks. It's the largest that they've done. And so all this is coming to debate the question as to how serious these two countries are when it comes to potentially a peace deal. I was speaking to reporters today. Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky said that there's no sign whatsoever from Moscow that they truly intend to engage in any substantive negotiations at all. And Russia, well, are they stalling? Well, joining me now to discuss all of this and more is Congressman Greg Murphy. He serves on several committees, including the Ways and Means Committee. He represents the 3rd Congressional District of North Carolina. Dr. Murphy, welcome back to Washington Watch. Great to have you.
Hey, Jody, good to see you.
Okay, well, let's start with this. There's a lot that I really want to cover with you today, but let's start with Russia. The foreign minister there of Russia has said that Putin is all ready to make a deal, but he also says that any real deals for peace that depart from those that were set out by Russia back in 2022 in Istanbul, that is totally hopeless. So what's your take on what we're seeing? Where's all this headed?
You know, Jody, that really was very shocking and depressing today to see what Russia did, launching their greatest missile attack or one of the biggest offensives they've had since the war, when literally, good Lord, just a few days ago, Vladimir Putin came on American soil and talked to President Trump about peace. Look, you know, trying to give Putin a reason to stop the war because he has no reason to stop by his measures. He doesn't mind killing his own people or killing the North Koreans or specifically killing Ukrainians. And trying to get a peace on this is extremely difficult. Why he would continue to press like he's doing right now, really, I think, try to push the Ukrainians to accept any deal just because Russia's continuing its murderous ways. I don't know. But, you know, the president wants something done sooner than later, as does the entire world. And I'm hopeful that he'll be able to see this to fruition.
Hard to get into Putin's brain, but you look at this and you have to kind of scratch your head thinking, what in the world is he doing? Like you said, just meeting with Trump the other day, and there seems to be great progress, and then all of a sudden an enormous airstrike. At the same time, Putin is reportedly keen on China in the sense that it appears that they're going to be asking China to play a very important role in the security guarantees. What do you think of that? Any surprise there?
Yeah, no, you know, you look at the axis of evil. I just came back from a long trip from overseas, and I watched the movie Reagan, which if the viewers have not seen this, I would wholeheartedly recommend everybody watching. And, you know, we talked about the axis of evil, and truth be told, nothing's changed since Reagan was president. You still have North Korea, you still have China, which wants world domination. Russia, you have a dictator that is ruthless to the extent. And so just like in World War II, where Mussolini and Hitler got together, it's no different now. Dictators tend to migrate towards each other. And sadly enough, this is seemingly repeating again today.
Well, that's a good perspective. And I think there's a lot more perception there than most people really thought to describe. Congressman Murphy, if I can switch gears with you a little bit, let's jump over to Israel. It appears that they are now on the verge of seizing control of Gaza City, which they have certainly described as a terror stronghold of Hamas. And Hamas says Israel's plans to attack Gaza City is just a blatant disregard for any efforts for a ceasefire and hostage release. But you know, I look back at this and have to ask, it seems as though, and I like your opinion, that Hamas, they are the ones that have really not been serious about striking a deal. What are your thoughts with this whole thing?
No, I don't think so. You know, October 7th will go down as not only a day in world history, obviously that it was tragic, but really will still be solidified in the history of Judaism. You know, I've been to Israel several times. You've been to Israel several times. The people just want peace in the region, and I think more and more their neighbors want that also. But when you have a terrorist group that wants nothing more than to eliminate the Jewish people, I don't think they care about anything else. They sure haven't cared about the people that live in Gaza that they've used as human shields, the hospitals, the schools, et cetera. And so I think they're willing to, you know, literally go on to their, you know, their heaven if they are martyred when they die, and they're willing to take anybody with them. Israel, it's tough. The Hamas people have not been allowing in aid. There's been very difficult to get into it. It is a humanitarian crisis. But at that point, it could all end in one moment if Hamas would just surrender. And I think those who are pro-Palestinian forget to say that, forget to push that if Hamas would just lay down their arms and come out and surrender, they are the ones who started this massacre, things would change immediately. But they're not. So, the Israeli Defense Force has every right to push its offensive to try to have some type of security guarantees for its own country.
Yeah, and it's amazing how much the legacy media has just played into the doctrine, if you will, the mantra coming from Hamas. Let me play a clip for you. This is of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu explaining during an interview with Sky News what the goal is of going into Gaza City. Get this, and I'd like to get your reaction.
My goal is not to occupy Gaza, it's to free Gaza. Free them from Hamas tyranny, free Israel and others from Hamas terrorism, give Gaza and Israel a different future. And I think we're close to doing it. It'll have to, of course, mean getting the last strongholds of Hamas. They shouldn't be there. Everybody understands that.
Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think it's true. I think he wants peace in the region. I think he wants peace for the Gazans. And I think that's what the whole world wants. But sadly enough, given the fact of the bellicose attack by Hamas on October the 7th, they haven't shown any desire. And they've, multiple attempts to stop the conflict have all been pushed away by Hamas because they don't want a resolution to this. They literally want war, and they want the destruction of the Jewish state. So given those terms, Israel has to basically, honestly, they have no choice. They have to go in and take out Hamas wherever they are and eliminate them from the face of the earth.
Yeah, and again, the media continues to try to spin all of that in spite of the reality that Israel has done more than any other country I'm aware of to get people out of harm's way and all that. Let me switch gears one more time for you, if I can, Congressman Murphy. The Trump administration, they are now at war, if you will, against the drug cartels. The United States has now deployed 3 Aegis-guided missile destroyers down off the shores of Venezuela, and the Trump administration has reportedly directed the military to prepare for lethal strikes against those cartels if necessary. Your take on these developments?
Yeah, Jody, that's an entirely new level that's never been breached before, taking an offensive into another country on these, especially a country, that doesn't really like the United States. That's a whole nother level. I'm not sure really where I am with that. Sadly enough, we're losing 100,000 Americans every year to drugs that are flowing in from this country. China's played their hand with it. Central America and South America have played their hand with it. We have a president that, is tired of messing around with a lot of these things. You don't do things incrementally with Trump. You do things in broad strokes. I think that will have, significant international ramifications. I pray it would never come to this, but you have a president down there that obviously was indicted and by the United States. 15 million, I think, was the first bounty, 25 million up to in the Biden administration. And now it's up to 50 million on his head because he is a narco-terrorist. And, we have to protect our own citizens. And that's what the president's trying to do.
Yeah, that's a bold step, to say the least. Yeah. Real quickly, we've only got about a minute or so left, but the news has come out that the Biden administration placed more than 11,000 unaccompanied illegal immigrant children with unvetted sponsors. Your take on that real quickly?
Jody, believe me, if I could say a few explicit words, I'd love to say that, but damn them for doing this. Taking the most vulnerable of children and giving them to people who most likely, a significant number of those individuals most likely now are being exploited in some way, either as slave labor or in sexual cartels or something of the sorts. But they didn't care. They just literally wanted the border to come open, bring in people to hopefully vote for them for one day. So damn them for doing this. This is tragic. It is sad on those individuals, and who knows if we'll ever get those kids back.
Yeah, it's you get these kind of stats coming back, and it's horrifying. 11,000 children.
Yeah. Unconscionable.
It really is. Congressman Greg Murphy of North Carolina, thank you so much for joining us today on Washington Watch. Greatly appreciate it.
Jody, good to see you.
Likewise.